Another tool that you can use to help you do a lot of different kinds of scans all at the same time is the NetScan tools. And this particular one we're going to look at is the Windows version, which is NetScan Tools Pro. Now there are different versions that are out there. Some of the graphical environments have tabs on them. Others have more of a tree view type control. So let's go ahead and install this one. This is version 5.1, so I believe this has the tree view. And we'll take our defaults. Now you notice a lot of this is trialware or shareware, and that's fine. And all of these tools are out there and available for the hackers to use also. Alright, so now it's going to go ahead and load up for us here, and we're going to see what kind of scans we can do. Notice it says, hey, you can go ahead and start out. You can go through the automated mode, or you can go directly over to the different tools. And this shows you all the different tools. It loads up. It has a couple of databases. One of the databases has a listing of all the different services, and another database has all the different protocols. So if you look at services, you can see that with port 443, HTTPS, UDP, tells you exactly what should be running there. We can also look for the different protocols themselves and see the various protocols that it has loaded automatically. Now it's going to use this information whenever we try to go out and actually take a look at and scan a particular network. So what we're going to do now is we can also use this directly as a launcher to go and try to make a direct connection. So for instance, on the NetScan Tools site, we can launch an FTP or a telnet directly. We can also launch an HTTP directly from here. And you can see the site's loading up there. Good. And we could even try an FTP as well. Yep, and you see they're telling us there that a connection could not be made. So we don't think that they're running FTP right now. All right, I can also go and do a name server lookup, and I can do a simple query, in which case it'll just try to get information about that specific one. I can do an NS lookup directly from this location, or I could list any of the domain information that's on file. And here you go, you see it's drilling down to the different server address itself. You can watch the status bar to see how it's progressing. This really does put a lot of tools at your fingertips. And we're getting some results back now. And you can see some DNS information here. Good. You can also run a Who Am I, which will basically give you information about this computer. NetBIOS information. You can pull out NetBIOS information, including the MAC address, provided the machine is using NetBIOS. Again, I can do a net scanner here, in which I can specify a range of addresses to start doing a scan on, and what it will do is actually go through and look for any addresses in that particular range, or I should say any hosts that are in there. I also have from this dialog the ability to go in and edit the host file. You can see there's the actual specification for my local host. And I can put in a separate name for it here, or a separate alias. There we go. And now if we go and load the host file, it will reload that host file, and then when we do our scan, boom, you can see that, whoops, that's not what I wanted. You can see that the new information should come through here. You can see on the pings, you can do pings directly to those. You can also go and scan for ports, and you can see if you click on scan target here, asks us to accept it. Sure, we're not going to be bad. We're just going to scan here. Notice it says don't scan anybody or any computer that you don't own or that you have the owner's permission to scan. Remember what we talked about earlier with the laws and the legal implications. You need to make sure that you've got the right permission before you go and start scanning any networks or any machines. Now what the port scanner is doing here is it's looking for the different ports that might be open and might be ready to accept connections on this particular machine. So we're going to let it query the machine and we'll see what connections we have open. And since there's over 65,000 different ports that could be in use, of course that can take a little bit of time there. But this should give us a very good indication of exactly what is running on this particular box. And here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look. And now you can see that what we elected to go ahead and show non-responding ports, so it shows us everything. And there you can see we've got SMTP open. We keep going down. You can see we have HTTP open on port 80. All right, now I can actually go out and ping this particular information. And there you go. It pinged that particular machine. Good. And also go back here and I can turn off, so if I just want to see the ports that are actually responding to some of this information here. So now what it should do, of course, since I'm not trying to report on any information, notice it's going a lot faster if I don't try to get any information about the non-responding ports. And let's see what we have here now. You can see basically I have TCP 25, 80, and 135. So these are the ports that this particular computer at this time has open and that are responding. I can go ahead and again from the same tool do a trace route. Let's go ahead and do a trace route to EC Council. And here you can see that we're getting different responses. If I want to get some information about a particular node, I could hit copy the address. I could also display it in a graph. And it looks like it's still going out. There we go. Notice I can view, print, or save, or even email these results. And there you go. Now I have a nice looking HTML tool. It tells me all of the different places that I've reached, what are their domain names, what was the response time. You can see that goes all the way out to the end until it stops. I can also use this tool. Now this is an interesting one. I can put in the URL that I want to capture and I can say get URL. And now what it's going to do is it's actually going to send a request out. In other words, it's going to send an HTTP request to get this information. And then what it does is it actually brings back the response and displays it in here. Now this isn't like a full-blown browser, but what this shows you is exactly what was sent back, and this lets you look at it at the level that was actually sent through, the response level itself. I can also do a who is, in which case it'll go out and query Aaron. And then I could also look up other information such as WinSock. There you go. I see I have domain information, I have target presence, I have target information. And you can see there that I can even specify a TCP terminal, and I can try to open up and do a, just simply try to go out and connect to a TCP port. And here I can just type simple commands like get information and voila. And notice that we went over HTTP and I did a get, which is just simple show me the page, and again I get all the markup here that came back on this particular one.